How about you use your body to pay?
A what?
Many performers' real-life nerves turned out to be very handy on the set of Squid Game. The only thing worse than watching the intensely terrifying games played in Squid Game would be doing them. But that was the reality for the whole cast, who were often challenged mentally and physically with such difficult material.
뭔가 그래도 그 와중에 잃지 않는 인간성, 그것에 대한 희망.
If you haven't binged the entire Wild series yet, consider this your spoiler alert. One of the children's games with a twist played during Squid Game was Tug of War, a game that is hardly ever actually played, and when it is, usually by children. While the simple battle doesn't feel too high stakes, the consequences of losing this game were fatal. It was also very dangerous to film on set. The amped-up game of Tug of War was filmed while the actors were standing on raised platforms, so when one team lost, those people literally fell down and had a terrifying experience. Not only was it scary, there were definite risks of injury as they flew off these platforms, only further intensifying the energy of the scene.
My god, I can't believe how cool that was.
The creative team didn't want the actors to fake it, so everyone dove right in. While it was nerve-wracking, the actors had to commit to their performances fully, meaning all that strength exerted and sweat we see is 100% real.
Move up or you die!
On top of the danger elements, what we don't really consider is just how much more intense the game is when full-grown adults are playing. Luckily, no one was badly injured while filming.
You know what? I really thought we were going to die out there.
Filming the Glass Stones game was actually terrifying for many of the actors facing the nerve-wracking game. While they weren't set up at the death-defying height we see in the show, they were still about 1.5 meters up, and that height alone was enough to make nerves settle in. The performers were walking on pieces of plexiglass that could break from underneath them at any time. Before the time came to actually shoot the high-intensity scene, the actors' nerves were very present and they didn't go away while filming either. The game never got any easier, and while the actors' hesitance and worry about filming the sequence could have ruined the takes, it actually wound up being the best thing.
We're in hell here. There's no rules in hell.
The intensity of the frightening tasks was amplified and made these scenes even stronger. The camera doesn't lie, and was able to capture just how stiff and rigid the actors' bodies were, adding an extra layer of freaky realism to the scene as we saw them genuinely struggle to face their fears. Of course, filming on a precarious set was just one hurdle. Considering how intense the content was and how high the stakes were, psychologically, the actors definitely struggled with the whole process, and with very good reason. Luckily, it all worked out very well for the show. We absolutely feel the terror of these performers through the screen.
Oh, it's getting exciting.
Typically, when a production has stunts and scenes as risky and dangerous as what we see being done in the Squid Game, there are a whole crew of stunt doubles specially trained to face the danger safely and take over when the cameras were rolling. Practically, it makes sense. The stunt doubles need to be there to take center stage and perform so the actors don't risk injury. But in the case of Squid Game, the spotlight was on the performers. They may have been children's games, but these were some very adult versions. Falling from heights, exerting great physical strength, and terrifyingly, stepping on glass stones that could break at any second was just another day at work for the Squid Game crew. This is a major testament to just how dedicated the cast and crew were to telling and depicting the story of the series as honestly as possible.
It's our lives we're betting on right now. And we gotta win.
The very first of the Squid Game installments was the simple childhood red light, green light game, and while it seems innocent enough, it was far from fun. Having to freeze was really tough since the performers had to pretend to be so terrified and worried they could lose their life because of the slightest movement at the wrong time. The environment really just made everything even more uncomfortable since there was such a large crowd dressed almost identically, really inspiring a bit of a freak mob mentality.
We're like a bunch of soldiers at training camp, huh?
There were moments filming for the actors that felt just a bit too much like real life, and mentally, the performers could struggle with negative and dark thoughts. This team committed to their craft and put so much of themselves into it that by the end of the day, many could feel depleted and overwhelmed by the experience, and some were just frustrated with their characters' choices and what they needed. The 218 actor even expressed extreme anxiety when preparing to do his role, but thanks to their awesome director, he felt confident in their work and the script and managed to perform.
가짜로 하는 게 아니라 진짜 그들이 느끼는 공포감이
The Squid Game premises is wild, and part of what makes it so unsettling is the freaky and intricate sets. The colors, shapes, and styles give off unnerving and creepy vibes, so it's no surprise that the first day the actors saw where they would be filming, their cameras were immediately whipped out to capture photos of it all.
굉장히 몽환적인 기분을 느낄 수 있을 정도로
While it may have seemed like a dream, more often than not, the circumstances felt like a total nightmare. Being on some of the bright and happy sets that induced a sort of feeling of fantasy could feel like being in a different world. But in conjunction with the disturbing content being depicted, the scenes became much worse to endure. The sheer range of realistic sets is impressive. The actors appeared to be outdoors or in the alleyways from when they were children. But it was all just an illusion, adding even more to the creep factor.
판타지적인 세상에 와 있는 느낌인데?
It's no surprise some of the actors felt mentally challenged and drained while working in these unnerving environments.
You saved me.
This show wouldn't have worked in bringing the gruesome and intense content to the screen had it not been for the director's vision. To make sure he could get the strongest reactions from the actors, the leader of the team made the performers feel safe enough to trust him on the journey. This allowed the intense approach they took by having all the actors do the games for real. Without the fatal consequences, of course. By placing the actors in overwhelming scenarios where their adrenaline would naturally run high, the team managed to capture some very honest and intense performances.
Why did you do that to us?
While the actors knew they wouldn't get any more money than just their paychecks for their performances, that didn't stop one actor from thinking about what he might do if he had the opportunity to play this unbelievable game in real life. The actor who plays the cop in the show might not go toe-to-toe with the other actors on set, but he's the most likely of them all to do the game in real life if given the chance. The actor has confirmed that he'd consider the daring task, with a cash reward that obviously can convince people to risk everything.